Let's go to Abuja. Ajuri's got a couple of more questions for you. Ajuri, go ahead.
I really want to kind of zero in on this issue of the marketers. Let me understand very clearly, Mr. Esele, are you advocating that marketers get back involved in the fuel importation process until that Dangote refinery kicks off in 2019?
No, that's not what I'm advocating. But what I'm talking about is putting the process in place. If you want marketers to be involved, marketers are not even interested in coming in because that's why you don't have the majors. By majors, I mean the Total, the Mobil. These majors are not involved in importing any product because they don't want to be saddled with going to the federal government to be asking for subsidy payment. NNPC can go on and continue to do that. It makes it easier for government to carry out its own audit on NNPC. It makes it easier for checks and balances. So I'm not advocating that marketers come in because whether you like it or not, marketers are going to come and want to make maximum margin, whether Nigeria suffers or not, because the bottom line is that they want to make profit.
Okay. The follow-up there is that with the marketers, if we maintain status quo and NNPC continues to bring in these products, whether they remove the subsidy or not, the question I have is really when you look at kind of the power distribution problems that are facing the country right now, it has to do with this issue of metering. It has to do with this issue of are the discos making enough money? Now, if we take that to the oil sector, will the marketers ever be satisfied with any margin? Because even if you remove the subsidy and you take it up to 175, 180 naira per liter at the filling station, will the marketers not say, look, well, we're making great profit now, but if next Christmas we hoard it again, we can make maybe 200, 300 per liter, because that's what they're making right now. Is that not the case?
That is where regulation comes in. That is where PPPRA comes in. And when PPPRA comes in there is that you sit down with the marketers. I'm telling you, I was once a board member of PPPRA. Now, you sit down with the marketers. Everybody has to discuss, okay, this is what margin you get. And then once that is done, what you expect is that the government enforces its rules and regulations. If any marketer is found wanting, you prosecute. We are supposed to be a country of law and order. So if anybody does anything contrary to what the regulators have set forth, then they pay the price for it.
You know, Nigerians want the truth. Very, very, very important. Nigerians just want the truth. If you say that NNPC is undersupplying the capacity at which demand is not meeting up with the demands, and the independent marketers, on the other hand, are depending on the NNPC for the products now, where then lies the truth? Because we must decipher between the capacity for the NNPC to supply this product and the participation of the independent marketers who want to make profit.
Gimba is clear. It's supply and demand. Once you have scarcity, it means you don't have enough supply. Whether anybody goes to hoard, how many liters are you going to hoard? How many liters do you have facility to hoard?
What about the pricing regime? Because you mentioned PPRA.
Pricing regime is supposed to be done by Petroleum Pricing Product Regulatory Authority.
Yes.
So if they are the ones saddled by law to do that, so if any marketer is also found wanting, so they have to deal with it.
But what happens, because some of the marketers in the midst of this, because it's about finding solutions, they complain about going to the depots to buy at 170, a government depot, and then you expect them to sell at 145. Exactly. So what happens to that pricing thing? How is it that heads are not rolling?
Now you need to find, that is also something that you also need to find out. It's your responsibility as a media, as an institution.
You tell us, because you are part of that board.
Is.
How is it that the board, for instance, has not been dissolved?
For you to have marketers complaining, there may be something happening that you, on the invoice, it may be written 140. Meanwhile, what they pay behind the scene, whatever top-up that they have to pay, may get to as high as 170. So it's not left for government to go and check out what is happening in the depot.
Despite the government saying that we can supply at the pump price of 145 naira,
yes,
the independent marketers are saying that landing cost is 171 naira.
Even the GM, confirmed that.
Who makes up for the differential to ensure that, okay, Nigerians still get the product to the benefit of Nigerians and not necessarily to the benefits of the independent marketers?
The differentials is made by the federal government. So the differential is made by the federal government. That is the subsidy. If 171, you sell at 145, meaning minus 26 naira.
Do you see an era, for instance, that is going to shelve off the independent marketers?
It's going to be tough. Why I say it's going to be tough? Because you don't have majors now. You don't have majors now going to the hinterland and going to the interior. That's where the independent marketers are now making a kill. And then you don't also have investment from probably Total, Mobil. They are not investing. So normally, when NNPC started doing having their own petrol stations, that was a stopgap. A lot of us were happy that, yes, NNPC was also now going to fill in that space. What I would advise is that the retail aspect of it, which NNPC is also getting involved in, is that we've always talked about NNPC being unbundled. So that those who are saddled with that responsibility just go on creating those outlets. But if you don't have those outlets, you also can't do without independent marketers. And the same thing, just like what your colleague in Abuja just said, the same thing that is playing out in power may also likely play out here. And that is a huge, huge challenge. And that's why I told you, you are not going to have the unions, are not going to be enthusiastic about privatizing NNPC or privatizing refinery, because the unions are seeing what is going on in the power sector.
So what should the NNPC be doing now? Supplying more?
Yes, and that is what they are doing right now. Okay, how come if you go to the petrol station as at yesterday evening, if you have 200 cars, it's about 100 now. Why? What's behind all of that?
Will that keep the independent marketers quiet?
About what will keep them quiet?
I mean, the supply, when we have enough supply.
Once you have
will it keep and because a lot of people fear that perhaps this is leading towards an increase in pump price in the long run.
It is. I will tell you that is where it's going to go. The only thing that will help is that you are approaching 2019. Because you are going to have a lot of pressure. It's going to be the president versus the independent marketers. And you have the major marketers, they are not in any way bringing any product. So if you have 26 naira differentials already, and you multiply 26 naira times 30 million liters, you know what that is. So if it becomes too heavy for the government is going to say, okay, let's increase. So there's likelihood of that happening next year if you continue to have an uptick in the price of crude.
Since you've been mentioning the power sector and how privatization has played out there, what's your assessment of the privatization in the power sector?
I think it's a disgrace. It is. Because normally when we're talking about privatizing the power sector, then I was still president. What were we looking at for? Now, you know what is going to happen in the power sector? What is going to play out now? It's not just, we are not worried only about the power sector right now. We're also worried about our banks. Because when you are privatizing, what you expect is that the company that is coming to take over are going to bring in cheap funds. Cheap funds, I mean, get forex from outside the country. Now, those who took over, who bought the power holdings and who took all of those, bought those assets, are all local, and they are sourcing from funds locally, which means you are putting pressure on the banks. So now the banks have invested so much money in all of that. After investing so much money in all of that, they are also drawing the banks along with them because they are not servicing their loans. That's one. Then number two, you've privatized a firm. This is the first time you've privatized a firm. The federal government every now and then gives billions of naira. The last amount that was approved to them was 500 billion. Where do you privatize a firm and still be giving the firm money?
That's a good place to let it rest. Peter Esele, former President Pengasson Reduce Esele, thank you for coming to unravel the difficulties and dark areas in this very troubling and in the perennial fuel scarcity that we face as a people.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much indeed. Sunrise will be back in just a moment. Join us again.